Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new edition of the Daily Debate. In tonight's show, we're going to be tackling the Egypt airplane crash that took place a few days ago. We're going to be talking about the different scenarios, the different reasons for this crash. We're also going to be talking about how this will affect the tourism industry here in Egypt. We're also going to be talking about any sort of effect on the Egyptian-French relations as well. And joining us here in the studio to shed more light on this issue is Captain Kelada, former head of the Accidents Investigation Administration at the Ministry of Civil Aviation. We're also joined by Mr. Mohammed Nazmy, the tourism expert and member of the Egyptian Council for Foreign Affairs. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for allowing us this opportunity.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, before we start our discussion and our debate, let's check out this report regarding President Sisi saying that all scenarios are possible for the Egypt airplane crash. Let's check out this report and we'll be right back.
President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi has urged the media not to speculate about the cause of an Egypt airplane crash which killed all 66 people on board, saying all scenarios were still being considered. In a televised speech during an inauguration ceremony of a petrochemical project in Damietta Governorate, the president said reaching the reasons behind the crash takes a long time, confirming that Egypt would announce the results once it finishes its investigations. He said Egypt will dispatch a submarine to help search for debris and data records from the doomed flight. Sisi thanked other nations for helping in the search for the passenger plane, which crashed into the Mediterranean shortly after leaving Greek airspace. The president promised to release full details about the cause of the crash once an investigation was complete, and said though the probe could take a long time, no one could hide the facts. A French aviation safety agency confirmed the plane had transmitted automatic messages indicating smoke was in the cabin before the crash. National Air Navigation Services Company Administrative Board Chairman Mohammed Nazmy denied media reports that the pilot of the crashed Egypt Air MS-804 contacted Egypt's control center. Foreign media claimed that the pilot spoke with Cairo's traffic control center for a few minutes, saying there was smoke in the aircraft and that he would make an emergency landing before the plane disappeared from the radar. The Egyptian Armed Forces confirmed that no distress signal was received from the plane. Egypt's National Air Navigation Services Company said in a statement the plane was spotted on the radar on the border point between Egyptian and Greek airspace, 260 nautical miles from Cairo. The last contact with the plane was at 2:30 a.m. Cairo local time. Egyptian authorities tried to contact the flight again at 2:50 a.m. without any response. Greece had said the aircraft made swerves and a descent after it entered Cairo flight information region. According to officials, the air traffic control center was assisted by airplanes that were in the surroundings of Egypt Air flight MS-804, which called for it and offered any information. Meanwhile, human remains, luggage and debris were retrieved from the sea around 290 kilometers north of the coastal city of Alexandria.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Starting off our discussion, Captain Kelada, now this is a tragic incident by all standards. However, the investigations have been ongoing. A lot of theories, a lot of different analysis coming from different experts, from the common Egyptian as well. Everyone has a certain scenario in his head. But so far, can you update us on how far the investigation, how far did it get to so far? For it crashed early hours of Friday or Thursday, and so far now, almost 5 days later, or even more, how far did the investigations go so far?
Thank you. First, allow me to express my condolences to the families of all the victims on this aircraft. This is a real catastrophe, and my condolences. To answer your question, the investigation is ongoing at the correct speed. These things take a lot of time. They need to be meticulous. We need to have some patience because So rushing into judgment or conclusions can lead us into. At first, it is very difficult for the families,
Yes.
and it creates a lot of problems. So far, we've been, what I've known, of course, I'm not involved, but from what I see, they're collecting the data, and this is the process that will go on for a while, collecting all facts until they can compile a complete factual report. From there on, they start the analysis, they arrive to conclusions. The conclusions can be decisive or can be the most probable causes, and then they issue a report. The report goes to the parties that are concerned or active. They have 60 days to comment on the reports. If their comments are taken, the report is updated to include their comments. If their comments are not approved, it becomes an attachment or a supplement to the report. This is the process that goes on, and I think we're proceeding quite well. They're trying to be as fast as possible. Of course, it all depends on how soon we can retrieve the black boxes. It's going to be a tough job, but they're going to do it. I'm positive they're going to get it.
Yes. Is there a time frame where should we expect this report containing all the possible facts that the searchers can gain actually?
You don't have a fixed time for it, but it can take from 6 months to 2 years. Usually it takes more than a year.
Yes. Mr. Nazmy, now, having a plane crash always ties mainly both countries, where it's coming from and where it's heading, especially as well the company of the airliner as well. So this really ties up mainly Egypt and France.
Okay.
So far, what sort of reaction do you feel is coming from the Egyptian side and the French side? Do you feel that both sides have different views about how this accident took place? Are they on the same page in terms of the searching for all the debris and the site of the crash?
Well, let me start by paying also my condolence to all the victims and all the innocent spirits that have gone in such a bad, sad accident as the aeroplane crash. As far as the relationship between both countries, I don't think I'm actually grateful to our army and our forces, and as well as the other governments in France and Greece, by supporting Egypt and helping Egypt try to find the truth or what really happened. So for that, I'm really grateful. And we cannot deny, that any country will help you or will help each other in such an incident. Now, as far as this crash is concerned, I think it's very early right now to decide what will happen and what happened and as a result, to the aircraft. But our relationship with France will be absolutely, as it is, very positive and very strong. And I think President Sisi enjoying such a relationship with France. And I'm quite sure there is no way that the French government can let go of such an incident, especially they are involved in it somehow, as we see. So I don't think that their efforts will go by like this. It's much appreciated, and we hope what we do and what they do can let us reach, a positive
outcome,
results for what happened.
Definitely. Captain Kelada, now you said that we are going on schedule with the research, and to actually compile the factual report, it could take up to 6 months to a year. However, the sonar transmitters within the black boxes, we understand that they actually transmit signals to define their location. Within 5 weeks, the signal goes out. Is that true?
It's about 4 weeks, about 30 days. Signal keeps going on for 30 days to assist in locating them.
Yes.
Of course, there are other means of locating them as well, but the signal keeps on for 30 days.
Yes,
That's
and
correct.
do you feel that with the rate the search is going nowadays, do you feel that we will be able to retrieve it within the amount of time where we can actually locate them according to the sonar signal?
I'm quite confident because the equipment used is very sophisticated, very high technology. So I'm quite confident they will locate them in time, and hopefully we'll retrieve them in good shape so that we can move forward in finding out why this accident happened. As far as my personal view, the importance is to find how this happened, why this happened, to avoid a recurrence.
Yes.
And it's not to throw blame at anybody or not to say you're responsible or I'm responsible. It's just to make sure we do not have a recurrence of that.
Yes. Well, in the history of searching for plane crashes, how often do they actually find the black boxes?
In most cases. It is more often than not that we find the black boxes. And depends on how much information the black boxes could retrieve before they stopped picking up anything.
Yes.
Sometimes when it's very sudden, we don't know except till this very second. We have to start building back and then assuming a few things that form a scenario. The way things proceed, you make a few different scenarios and you try to find out what the most plausible scenario is to reach to the most probable cause of the accident.
And in the case that we don't actually retrieve the black boxes, what sort of clues or evidence should we look for or try to actually conclude any sort of a sequence of events that took place for the plane to crash?
Well, the sequence of events will be, of course, a little vague in this case, but of course, when we analyze the parts that we retrieve, parts of the aircraft, you can tell how they were broken this way, how they were damaged this way, whether the damage is due to an explosion or an impact or a very high pressure or high temperature or burning. You can tell from analysis, and this is all part of the investigation. It's not just the black boxes that we use. We use every information that we can retrieve from any part of the wreckage that can lead us to what happened.
Yes. Mr. Nazmy, now looking at both relations, the relationship between both countries, Egypt and France. Now, the relationship between both countries have been really strengthening in the past period, as well as other countries as well, and we're going to get to that later. But do you feel that this can have any sort of impact, not necessarily on the tourism industry, but at least on the relationship between both countries politically?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because this is not the first time that such an incident happened. You know, it just happened in Brussels, in Belgium, in England, in the United States. It happens everywhere. And I mean, in England, you know, even it happens. So there is no way that it can stop such a relationship or the relationship between both countries. As a matter of fact, it will strengthen the relationship between any countries, because they have to find the truth which they owe to the people.
Yes,
and we're all confident in our own government in taking such a measurement to find the truth, or to tell us what is the latest they found out about that incident. But there is no way, you know, but it happens everywhere in the world. And many people, for example, you know, ask if this will affect tourism business. Absolutely not, because again, it's not the first time to happen. That happened over and over and over, and never stop you or me, you know, for traveling anywhere. The aeroplane is still up in the sky, you know, and we are not going to stop traveling because we can't.
Yes.
You know, as simple as that.
Well, if a plane crash takes place between any, two
Yes.
countries where there's not really a lot of political pressure on them. However, Egypt is now it's the heart of the Middle East, really, and the Middle East and the Arab world is really filled with a lot of political energies and dynamics that's changing day by day. Egypt as well is really connected to a lot of countries on the political level strongly, especially after the revolution. So do you feel that this all these political dynamics and the relationships, do you feel that they actually exert a lot of pressure on such tragic incidents such as the plane crash?
I really don't think so. I mean, I must say, honestly, we have a very wise president and a very, excellent government in their moves on the international level. And I don't think so at all. As a matter of fact, I doubt very much if there's any effect, will be in any country or in us especially, because again, we are confident in our president and his relationship with others, which is very fair all the way.
Yes, definitely. Captain Kelada, now this is a very intense time for the Accidents Investigation Administration at the Ministry of Civil Aviation. This is not the first crash. Recently there was the crash of the Russian plane in Sinai. Is there something that we've learned from the previous crash in Sinai, from the Russian plane, that we can actually use for this search? Does the investigation administration see any sort of relationship, or are they just dealing with it as two different incidents, totally not connected to each other?
Of course, I don't know how they're doing it because I'm not in there. But from my observation from the outside, I'm sure that the people working there are very, very proficient in their job. They know exactly what to do. And the thing to do is not to tie up anything. They should work separately on this, regardless of what they think about the Russian plane. As an observer from the outside, yes, there are quite a few similarities, but that's just an observation that I'm sure that people working on the technical side inside will look at it, but this will not change their judgment or affect their judgment. There are similarities between the two crashes. The way the plane fell off the sky with no indication of anything, with no alarm signal, with no distress signal, whatever. One landed in the desert, the other landed in the sea. So there are similarities. But are they the same? Very premature to say, because we really don't know how the Russian plane fell exactly yet.
Yes.
That's why I say it takes a while to determine that. But similarities from the outside, just looking at it, yes. Facts, we don't know. We still don't have the facts.
Yes. Well, the crashing of the Russian airplane, we don't know exactly what are the reasons for this crash. But what did we actually, what are the conclusions we actually came to after this period of the investigation? What can we say? Okay, after this period of the investigation of the whole thing, this is what we know for a fact, and this is these are the possible scenarios. What can we know about it now?
From what I know, hearing from my colleagues,
yes,
we don't have any definite conclusion about the Russian crash yet. It all indicates to terrorism, a bomb somewhere. It's possible, looks like it. Whether it is for a fact or not, we still have to wait.
Yes.
So of course for the Egypt airplane, it's still very premature. It looks similar, but we cannot really determine.
Yeah.
All we know for the Egypt air crash is that something happened at 37,000 feet that caused this airplane or aircraft to be no more a flying object. It fell off the sky. Now, to my technical point of view here or opinion, what can cause this is that the plane suffered a severe instant damage that caused it not to be capable to fly anymore. And it was very sudden. There was no attempt to recover from anywhere. We just see it falling off.
Yes.
What can cause this is either a severe failure in the aircraft body itself, structure failure or something like that. Of course, we don't know of anything that happened that is similar, but we cannot rule it out. Or something caused it to break up. We've heard a few incidents like that, but still this is all speculation.
Yes.
And I really just would like to wait and see till we get the real facts and then base our judgment accordingly.
Yes. But for a plane to actually, before taking off, isn't it procedural that a general checkup is being done on all the engines, the body, the structure of the plane before each and every single flight?
Sure. And by the way, let me point out that the way we see this failure, from my experience in aviation, I don't believe there is any mechanical or maintenance failure that can lead to this breaking up of the aircraft instantly. Nothing that I know of can do that. If we lose an engine, if we lose two engines,
Yes.
the plane will fly down in 10 minutes and maybe hit the water and crash as well. But it's not instant. Nothing is instant except if there's a total breakup of the aircraft. Nothing in maintenance will cause a total breakup of the aircraft that severely. Even if we lose a door of the aircraft,
Yes.
there is still a chance that they will be
It wouldn't
trying to
free
do
fall
something.
right away.
And pressurization of the aircraft, crew are trained very well to counteract loss of pressurization.
Yes.
But this is much more severe than that. So I really don't believe there is any maintenance problem. It is a failure of the body of the aircraft, whether internally or externally.
Yes.
That's my belief.
Yes.
I want to go
Please
back
go
just to the Russian incident. I want to say why it's very popular. Because our tourism got affected by that extent. And we used to have 3 million tourists just from Russia coming to Egypt. 1 million coming from England. You are talking about 4 million. That's about 50% of the travelers to Egypt nowadays.
Yes.
That's why it's making a big noisy. But otherwise, I don't see, it's something, I'm not going to say normal, but it happens everywhere. But now it's affecting the piece of bread, affecting our national income, affecting our tourism, which reflect big deal on the economy of the country and on the social life as well. That's why it's making a big noisy. But again, through the research and investigations that are taking place, I'm sure there are experts after it, they will find somehow the truth, and we will know.
Yes.
And that even doesn't affect whatsoever the relationship between Egypt as a country and Russia, or the president here
And the president
or there.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Well, talking about how it would affect the tourism industry and the livelihood of a lot of people working within the tourism industry. Now, let's assume that it does not affect the tourism industry whatsoever. However, do you feel that having two crashes associated to Egypt, whether one landed in Egypt, the crash actually took place in Egypt, and another one was an Egypt airliner, Egypt Air, do you feel that this would affect the, not the reputation, but the tendency of people actually taking Egypt Air or choosing Egypt Air as an airliner?
Just to be realistic, I wouldn't say it wouldn't. No, it would. It would, even a small number of people, because we have another airplane went to Paris and came back the following day. So it will affect the tourism business. It will affect the people they are thinking of coming to Egypt to slow down. However, We are coming into summer right now, you know, and we're gonna be slow anyway. You know, I mean, as far as the tourism business in Egypt. But that's what happened. You know, we can't say anything except yes, it will affect the tourism business, but not on the long run. No way, because it's just an instant. You know, that's all.
Yes. Well, Captain Kelada, you've said that as far as you can tell, it doesn't really look, and you don't really think it would be a technical or a mechanical failure, but some sort of a failure for the structure of the airplane or the plane as an object. It's not a machine that would be able to fly anymore.
Yes.
Now, there were some reports that the cockpit, that there was some sort of smoke at the cockpit. That would rule out any sort of sudden impact scenario. So it would say that, no, there has been some sort of malfunction. Do you really believe that sort of these reports? How did we actually find out that there was actually smoke?
No, there is a machine. You know, this is a very modern technology aircraft. It's equipped with a computer that picks up a lot of data from different parts of the aircraft and sends them automatically to both the operator and to the manufacturer. It goes on automatically.
Yes.
This is a very normal readout that comes in. The readout that came in to Egypt Air and Airbus at the same time indicated that they detected, and I want to use the word detected, some smoke in the forward lavatory, and then some smoke in what they call the avionics bay, which is underneath the cockpit. These are two items. They detected an overheat signal on one of the side windows in the cockpit, and another signal that says the heating stopped. These are all very, very minor reports.
Are they common?
Very common. They can happen. I mean, the lavatory can be a cigarette. Somebody went into the lavatory and put a cigarette. The smoke, the way the whole the air moves into the air in the aircraft is it comes from the back forward and returns back underneath the flooring of the aircraft. So that's a normal sequence. That if it's in the toilet, it's going to show up in the avionics bay. This is something that needs to be looked at when we proceed, but does not have any indication of leading to an accident, because we do not have it rise to the level of even giving a warning to the cockpit. We have it as something that has been picked up, but had not risen to the level of initiating a warning. When we find the black boxes and when we proceed with the analysis and investigation, collecting the facts, maybe we would find a relation. Maybe we find that this was the start of something that happened later. It could be. But as is now, I think the way we all handled it is way out of size. Because it's just a very minor indication. Can mean nothing. It can be a pure coincidence. It can have some relation. But to build up and say, I've heard people come up on different television stations and say there was a fire in the plane's kitchen. I mean, this is... it hurts. It hurts. It hurts the investigation. It hurts the families. It hurts the reputation.
Correct.
It's very damaging.
I agree.
I wish that people would leave the experts do their work and come up with results that are real. Instead of just speculating all the time. And it's very, very premature.
That's very true. Well, ladies and gentlemen, talking about how the tourism industry is affected, let's check out this report regarding the tourism minister saying that the Egypt Air crash shouldn't really impact the tourism sector whatsoever. Let's check out this report and we'll be right back.
Minister of Tourism Yahya Rashid said Egypt Air's plane crash is unlikely to affect government plans to attract millions of visitors next year. Ministers said Egypt was maintaining its projection that 10 million tourists will visit the country in 2017, generating $12 billion in revenue. He said Egypt will not cut prices for vacationers because the country already offers good value. Minister said nothing had changed in his views, stressing that Egypt was going to work hard to set high targets and maximize tourism revenues. He said Egypt would have to work 10 times harder to revive its tourism industry after a series of setbacks, including the crash of the plane, the latest blow to the vital tourism industry already suffering from years of political and economic turmoil. Rashid argued that Egypt's air management of the crisis had boosted confidence in the Egyptian flag carrier. He said the country hopes to attract 12 million tourists by the end of next year. Meanwhile, the Greek Minister of Tourism, Elina Kontoura, and an accompanying delegation of 25 representatives of Greek travel agencies arrived in Cairo on board the Egypt Air flight to participate in the Egyptian-Greek Tourism Forum in Cairo. Kontoura expressed her condolences to the Egyptian people for the death of the passengers and crew on board the Egypt airplane and said her visit was aimed at enhancing bilateral tourism relations to attract more tourists to both countries. Egypt and Greece are working together on providing joint tourism programs.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, continuing our debate and discussion. Mr. Nazmy, now, if this crash affects the people consciously or subconsciously of whether to come to Egypt for a holiday or not, or actually take Egypt Air, choose it as their airliner, the carrier, what can be done now? Because this is the second thing. This is the second incident in relatively a short time. What can be done by the tourism ministry or the Egyptian government or us as Egyptians to actually counter all these negative propaganda and these negative effects that are taking place as a result of these incidents?
I'm going to say the following. One, we don't have to look back anymore. We have to look forward. Okay? Leave the accident, like the captain says, that to the experts who can discover what happened and come up with the results. But now we have to go ahead and look ahead what we have on our agenda. Okay? And as President Sisi saying, you know, let's answer anybody talk about us by working. You know what I mean? But by what we are doing. So I think that there is many avenues we can take to overcome this problem. And the fastest one is to focus right now on the nearest markets, which are the Arabian markets from Gulf and Saudi Arabia and Kuwait, who come to Egypt. They can come very quickly and they know the language is the same and their cousin and they feel. I think that is the fastest way to recover from this incident. Number two, we have the markets like Ukraine, like Poland, like, you know, several, you know, the Far East as well, you know, Indonesia, like China. And we can focus, increase the number of travelers to Egypt. You know, we have in 2010, I mean, we have about 792 travelers came from the Middle East, from the Arab countries. And this last year, they were 840,000. Right, so the increase is only about 50,000 or so, but still we can increase more and more and more of it. Right now, right this minute as we speak, I think the Arab market is doing quite well, and all the hotels in Cairo are fully booked in Cairo.
Yes. Well, at least that's a great sign.
Yes, I mean, I think by now, you know, you agree with me that we are used to many people and the media and the newspapers and televisions, stations, talking about Egypt, and one little problem, it becomes 20 times the news of the day making people worried and afraid about coming to Egypt. But you know what? I'm into travel business. And I tell you, I didn't look at this negative energy. I look in the positive energy. And I see my target. That's what I want to achieve. And then by the people coming again, little by little, we can convince the people, and they see the reality that we are living. Nothing is happening in Egypt. As a matter of fact, no, we are improving, we are going up. And all the indications say that. For example, what we have done with the Suez Canal, is very important, to show the people the new roads that are doing right now. We show the people that we are doing something. We are cleaning our house from the inside. That means we are rearranging the house from the inside. That means that there is a step forward, and we're going up, and nothing is going to stop us. But again, it's very important that we must work. Work is the key to our future in general.
Captain Kelada, I'm sorry, but you are the expert for the Accident Investigation Administration. So I must ask you a few questions, and they're merely speculations because we don't really know any facts so far. Suppose that it's not really a technical fault or a malfunction with the plane as a flying machine whatsoever. So the other probability is a sudden impact or an act of sabotage of some sort. So that could be understood or seen in two different scenarios, whether there was, for instance, a bomb on the plane or it was hit by, it was shot down. So if these scenarios actually are there, even if we find the black box really records all the information and the details of the flight since it took off until it lands. But if this sudden impact takes place, what will it record? Because this will happen instantly. So how do we know that there was actually a bomb, if there was a bomb on the plane, because it really wouldn't be recorded by the black box? Or if it was shot down, is there a radar on the airplane that would actually pick up any sort of missile heading towards it?
Well, let me clarify this point for you. If there was a bomb, the flight data recorder and the voice recorder would record the first sound of it before it dies. So we will have...
Which is a split of a second.
But we'll have a sound of a blast. Being hit by a rocket or some sort, this will have to rely on the data we get from the radar stations around the area where the aircraft was shot down. And there are quite a few there, because we're within the somewhere the Greek islands. There is the American fleet. There's quite a few activity. There is activity in this place. So I expect that if this is the case, that we will find something on the radar that would, even the present radar picture that we got or that we heard of, that was given by the Greeks, saying that the aircraft turned 90 degrees and then 360 degrees. This picture has to be analyzed. There's a lot of data that you can come up with from this radar picture if it is analyzed by the experts. It was just a relay from the Minister of Defense. That's the first reading. But we can take this picture and analyze it. Was this part of the aircraft or all the aircraft? Were there any other parts? And if there was a rocket, you will see a rocket going to the aircraft. So there are ways of getting more information, getting more assertion on how these things happen. But give it time. It's definitely a very meticulous job.
Well, we're only speculating. Well, okay, Captain Kelada, if it was a rocket or a missile, then this is an external reason. So it's not really the fault of the airliner or the machine itself or the crew or whatever. But what if it's a bomb on the plane? That's an internal reason, and This plane took off from Paris, from Charles de Gaulle Airport. So isn't there some sort of security procedures that should be that are taken at the airport before the plane takes off? Something to ensure that nothing dangerous comes on a plane. No, you can't even get a bottle of water on board. So let alone a bomb. How is that possible? How is that even a possibility?
Let me first say that I was flying in from Charles de Gaulle Airport 6 hours before this crash. I was on the flight before. Just the previous flight.
No, it's pretty close.
The security is very, very tight. But the whole world does not know of 100% security so far. And it does not, I don't believe it hurts any country to say there's something that passed through. It will keep on. Anybody who puts their mind to it will be able to do it somehow. You put deterrents, but you don't stop at 100%. So the security, yes, would be the responsibility of the French government or the Charles de Gaulle Airport, if that's the case. If it's a missile or a rocket, then we have to find out who fired this rocket, what was the intention, was it a mistake? But here there is a point that who bears the consequence? We should be very aware that right now everybody's looking at Egypt Air and Egypt. When you have statistics about accidents, by the way, Egypt Air is one of the lowest operators on record of accidents. We've, since the airline started to work, which was nearly 90 years ago now, we have 14 recorded accidents. Other operators have over 100. So we're not bad on the record side.
Yes.
We need to look at it in another way, that what is recorded as on Egypt Air or on Egypt. If there is a failure in maintenance and a human error, anything like that, that counts on the airline and the operator. This is a national carrier, so it becomes an Egyptian problem as well. But if it's an outside, like a sabotage or a manufacturer problem, it does not go on record as an Egypt Air or Egyptian problem. So we don't really want to be carrying other people's problems needlessly. Let's wait and see. If we're to blame, we'll carry it. We can fall short sometimes. It's not impossible. Human error is always going to be there. It can happen, but we do not have any indication so far to indicate that there is this possibility. I would love to see people just have a little bit of patience instead of carrying the blame and putting the blame, and it's very difficult to change it later. Once you get branded that Egypt Air had an accident and Egypt Air had a problem, it's going to be Egypt Air's problem, even if it does not go recorded on Egypt Air.
Yes. Well, one quick question. You've mentioned the phrase, if it was shot mistakenly. Is there any sort of record of any military exercises that was taking place around that area at the time of the crash?
Not that I'm aware of, but can be. We don't know. I'm here, I'm not in a position to know everything, of course. Possible. There could be some Navy carrying out exercises of some kind. Mistakes can happen.
Yes.
I have heard that some kind of military exercise around the Greek islands. You know, between...
Okay. Well, Mr. Nazmy, talking about the political burden or the political pressure that's really tied to all these crashes. Now, Egypt has been really active in strengthening its foreign relations with a number of countries. Russia, France as well, Italy, China, Saudi Arabia. Now, having those two crashes happen close to each other, related to two countries that Egypt is really strengthening its relations and really working on its military cooperation as well in specific. Does that really put pressure on the political dynamics, the relationships, the dynamics of the relationship between Egypt and these countries? And does that put other countries strengthening their relationship with Egypt on high alert as well? Just better to be safe and cautious than sorry?
that must be definitely happening, because Egypt is really a target for many enemies, many people that they targeting Egypt to slow it down no matter what. But I don't think it will. I mean, they are trying. And if it happens that it has proven, you know, that this accident, the Russian one or the Egypt Air One was France, you know, it happens because somebody did whatever, you know, or any military missile, something, you know. Yes, you know, but it will not affect the pressure, the way Egypt is going. And it will not affect our relationship with the other countries, because it's very known. It's very known to everybody. You know, what we want, what we do, how we keep our relationship really in a good terms. But it is putting big pressure on our leaders. It really does. I mean, every day you find something. Every day they say something. Every day you face something. You know, I mean, I think got tired of it. You know, got really tired. You know, I mean.
Well, away from the plane crashes, there was also the unfortunate incident of the death of the Italian student Regini here in Egypt. Does that also have an effect on the tourism industry? Does it have an effect of the Italian tourists coming to Egypt?
When you talk to me and you start putting everything, you know, one accident after the other, then it does definitely, by all means, it gives, you know, a bad impression about this country for somebody who doesn't know Egypt. You know, I mean, what's going on? What's happening in this country? Every day and the other, there is incident, there is accident, there is somebody killed, somebody, and plus the Muslim people in general, in a way, they have not that high reputation in the Western society. So it's all affecting somehow us, and it really is slowing us down. And that's why the tourism business, it has been now 6 years we're trying to stand up. Even though that we're trying, but still the percentage of tourism business we have right now, the current situation is not that good. It's not enough at all, because how many millions of people are working in that sector? You know, and that's because of mentioning this accident one right after the other. So definitely, if I was there in any country, I would say, hey, what's going on in Egypt? You know, that's definitely the natural thing, or the natural reaction will happen
to these incidents. Captain Kelada, one final question, because we're running out of time now. Following up on Mr. Nazmy's comments, do you feel that with these crashes and all the spotlight that's being focused on them, whether if it's the media here in Egypt or abroad as well in the international community, do you feel that all these spotlights, and do you feel that they actually constitute a huge amount of pressure on the Accidents Investigation Administration, for instance? Does it put them under pressure to actually come up with results or findings as soon as possible, or headed at least to a certain direction? Do you feel that there are some forces that are trying to influence the findings of these investigations?
This always happens in accident investigations, but I'm confident that the Ministry of Civil Aviation, as a ministry, and the people in charge, and the accident investigation people there will be totally detached from that. They will do their job, regardless of who wants it or who doesn't want it, who likes it, who does not like it. The final result will be there. How we will use the final result, how we will come up with the final result to the world.
This
depends on our governments in general.
Yes, definitely.
As long as we are giving the people in the national
Yes.
level, a positive, that we do a positive action
Yes.
and results, and we are really sincere about it, I think they start believing us
Yes.
that we are saying the truth.
Yes.
And we should say the truth no matter what.
Yes, definitely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's definitely a tragic accident and incident that took place. Egypt Air plane crash coming from Paris en route to Cairo. We're paying all our condolences, the deepest condolences to the victims and their families and everyone who's associated to anyone who was on that plane. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this edition of the Daily Debate. But before we go, I'd like to thank our very distinguished guest, Captain Kelada, former head of the Accidents Investigation Administration at the Ministry of Civil Aviation. I'd also like to thank very much Mr. Mohammed Nazmy, the tourism expert and member of the Egyptian Council for Foreign Affairs. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned for more coming up on Nile International. I'm Hani Saif. Thank you for joining us.